Hey everyone, welcome. No cap. This is not Zach. He's disappeared. I'm not sure he went. But all the best to him. Hopefully he'll be back soon. I've got the usual culprit here with me, Abbas. What's happening?
What's happening, Sol?
Nothing much. And we've got a special guest here tonight. Tony, Mr. Tony Anna. What's happening, mate?
Nothing, boys. How are we?
Good. Big Brisbane Broncos fan.
Massive.
So, far unlucky, man.
We're in a shit period, but what can you do?
No,
We'll talk about it soon.
100%. Let's kick it off. We obviously had a big argument or a big discussion about Parramatta last week.
Yeah.
Tony, you heard it. The Roosters came away with a victory on Saturday night. Is it fair to say that I was right?
Yeah, sorry. I think at this point, you're the only two adults in the whole country that think the Eels aren't contenders based off that performance. I think the Roosters are like unbelievable right now. Like I'm calling it right now. I don't think they'll lose a game for the rest of the regular season at least.
Talking about bold prediction. That's a massive prediction.
It is a massive
mate.
prediction, but just the way they're going, I haven't seen a team attack so quick and so sharp and so relentlessly across the whole game. So for Eels to be down 8-0 at
8-0
half time,
half-time.
for me that was impressive enough. And then for them to come back 10-8. I know they came back and lost the game, but again that's just a credit to the Roosters of how you give them a sniff and they'll take the opportunity, even without Tedesco. We saw how good Morris played, both of them pretty much.
They're old, but they're 40, man.
They're playing better
A bunch
than
of 40-year-olds beat a bunch of young up-and-coming superstars.
they're still playing better than any other centre or winger
They are.
right now.
They are. But I'm just putting it in perspective.
Yeah. And Keary, I think's unbelievable as well. Just the way, if you notice the way he stays close to the play of the ball, and Ponga's starting to do a lot now, where he stays close to the play of the ball, he runs direct and hard at the line, and he'll give a nice flat ball to the supporting players. Just the speed at which Roosters play, I found it impressive enough that Eels only held him out to 3 tries to 2. They only beat him by 1 try in the end.
Yeah, look, it's again when we talk about contenders, the word contender for me means there's a possibility of winning the comp. I don't think Parramatta can win the comp. I think they'll get close, but in regards to winning the comp, I think they're still maturing as a team, and it's well documented that me and you, Sol, we don't like them. And regardless of if we call them shit or not, we know they're not a shit team. We just, I don't know. I feel like the next 2 months is going to really show what Parramatta's made of. I think it's unfair to classify anyone other than Roosters at the moment a contender. Even as much as I like Penrith right now and how they're looking, they're still a young team. I can't really classify them as a contender too. I mean, if you look at the table, the table says they are a contender. But, I mean, when it comes to the later rounds, are they still going to be there? That's the question that I have. That's the difference between the Melbourne Storms, the Sydney Roosters, and the teams like Parramatta and Penrith. Yeah, look, the next month and a half, 2 months is going to show a lot in regards to Parramatta, Penrith, a bunch of these young teams that are looking good early on, and see how they go. I mean, when we say contender, we can't just say they're going to make top 4. We got to say, do they have a chance of winning the title? Like, not as in a 2% chance or a 10% chance. Are they a good chance of winning the title?
Well, if they do end up top 4, think about it. They get a home ground advantage first week. They got all of Bankwest behind them. Look how good they are, Bankwest. Even when there's no crowd, they're still treating it like it's their fortress. Imagine a whole crowd. They'll sell out easy. A whole crowd behind them. All they have to do is win that. Sorry, no. If they won't get a home game the first week if they're top 4, so they'll probably verse Roosters or I think Canberra or Melbourne at second or third, because I don't know if they'll end up second place. I know Roosters will probably most likely end up first place. Even if they lose that first round game, they've got that home ground advantage of having Bankwest the next game. And as you know, they're a very big momentum-based team. So I think
But
that's what
that's-
you're doubting. You,
But
you're
but, that's,
just
but again, we're just going back to if they make top 4, are they a chance of winning the premiership? Like at least 40% chance of winning the premiership.
at least 40. Yeah, I'd say. At
Look,
least 40.
here's my issue. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
hate the whole Parramatta team. Yeah,
Mm.
I hate the club. All right,
Yeah,
it's just
every-
it's in my blood, it's in your
Yeah,
blood.
like,
about
ever since Jared Hayne left, I was alright with the players,
yeah.
except for Mitchell Moses. But
That's the issue for me. Parramatta don't have a plan B. They proved it on the weekend. They're still learning. I get that, yeah. But I honestly don't think you get in a position like they did, all right, 10-8 up. Sevo just ended Tedesco's night, all
Yeah.
right. You're up. Within 1 minute, the Roosters took the game back. They went another level and took the game back.
Yeah.
That's not good signs for me. Now everyone's just kind of overlooking that, and they ended up losing 24-10. Regardless, it was 3 tries to 2.
it was
They gave away penalties. They got sin binned. They mentally they weren't up for it.
That's what I was thinking. You said they lost by 1 try. They lost 24-10. They lost by
It was 1 try, but
that was 24-10 1 try.
1 try and like 3 penalty goals.
There
It's
was
1
pen-
try in the end.
there was a
No,
couple
but I'm talking
penalty
about
goals.
points wise.
Yeah. But the thing is, that's Parramatta's fault because they gave away those penalties because they
Yeah.
weren't. You know what I mean? They were struggling. Put it on face value. You're like their best player in the world got taken out. Surely that Parramatta could go on with it and win the game, but they didn't.
But you don't-
That's what it tells me. It tells me that they're not up there. We talked about this before. They're not up there with the likes of a Melbourne or Canberra. Everyone's going up. We're going to talk about Canberra. Everyone's going off about Canberra. They're 4-2.
I don't think. I think Canberra will struggle to make top 8.
But they're 4-2. But they're not even in a bad position right now. Their attack's bad. That's it. What I'm saying is, on paper, Parramatta's in that second tier. All right, for me, they're in that second tier with a Penrith, with a Newcastle, with a Manly.
yeah.
They've still got a ways to go, and I don't think they're that much better than any of those teams. Honestly,
You don't think that loss on the weekend benefited them?
are they going
If they had this
Hopefully.
loss in
Hopefully.
the finals, then we can say, yeah, they didn't live up, they choked, this and that. But this is a learning curve for them. I reckon in other seasons, they would have got smashed by the Roosters. Like I said, for them
True.
just to stay in the game.
But this week's going to show. They're versing Canberra, and they're coming off a bad loss as well. They're going to be hungry for it.
I think they'll destroy Canberra. Canberra.
That's a big call.
From what I saw from Canberra, I don't like they lost Caesar and Leilua, and that was pretty much their attack. They've got Whiteend, who I rate as a player, but I just don't rate him as a 5'8", and I don't see much. That's why I think they're going to struggle to make top 8 unless they find somebody during the mid-season to take that 5'8" or halfback role. That Williams guy, I haven't really seen anything special come out of him.
He played good against Melbourne.
Chance Nickel Cockstack, whatever his name is probably the only guy on that team that's looking really, really good at the moment.
They've still got a
So-
solid 4-pack.
so
they're still missing John Bateman. He's a massive part of their
Bulldogs have had a solid
their back
4-pack
row.
for about 4 years. 4-pack only gets you so far.
I get that.
I
but
think Parramatta will probably beat them 20 plus this week.
that's a big
Ooh.
call. Look, is there any other teams as well? I just mentioned them. There's Melbourne. There's Penrith. You were talking about Penrith a bit. We're talking about Manly. Manly won that game on the weekend with no one. And Newcastle, of course,
Yeah.
Newcastle. They've been killing it as well lately. Do you see any of them coming close this year or progressing? Because talk about Parramatta, learning from it. A lot of those teams are in that same stage. They're coming up too as well. So it's going to be a tough comp this year for those top 4 spots, especially.
Look, with the teams like Penrith, like Newcastle, like Parramatta, they're showing glimpses of they've got the attack down pat, right? It's the defense that's the separator between Melbourne and Roosters and these other teams, right? Is the thing that you can have 6 sets on their line and Roosters and Melbourne will defend you for that 6 sets 9 out of 10 times, right? That 1 out of 10 times you'll be able to score against them. That's the issue that I have with Penrith, Parramatta, Newcastle, and that's why I can't really classify them as contenders right now, right? Even though Melbourne Storm have looked a bit shaky at the start of the season, we all know that come finals time, they're going to be ready. They're going to, Craig Bellamy's going to have them set.
Always.
And that's why I'm saying in the next month and a half, 2 months, you're going to see what the Penrith Panthers, what the Parramatta Eels, what the Newcastle Knights are made out of. You're going to see how they respond to, versing a team like Roosters, a team like Melbourne, a team like, each other, Penrith Panthers, Parramatta and Eels, and Knights versing each other, seeing them, have to withstand 6 sets on their line, seeing how they respond to that, and seeing if there's any lapses in defenses. Because at the end of the day, finals time, you're going to have two good teams going against each other, but 9 times out of the 10, the Roosters and the Melbourne are going to win those games because they're just that disciplined, that defensively that sound, and they can defend 6 sets in a row on their line and then come back and go 100 metres and score that try and just destroy a team like Parramatta, a team like Penrith, a team like Newcastle's Spirit. I mean, that's probably the worst thing that happens to a team is they have 6 sets on the line, Roosters defender, and then they go 100 metres and score. And then the Penrith players are just sitting there like, oh, what do we have to do to get past this team? Parramatta team, Newcastle team, going to be like, what do we have to do to get past this team? Those are the reasons why I don't classify Penrith, Newcastle, and Parramatta contenders right now.
They're on the stage, like I said, they're at the start of their.
They're really good teams.
You know what I mean? They run.
They're
building.
For me, they're not contenders.
Speaking of those other teams,
So does he have anything to add?
No, I actually agree 100% with.
Oh, you what? Hey, wait, you agree? You agree with Bass?
No,
This is
actually,
first. It took 5 minutes.
100% the way you class those teams together in terms of absorbing pressure against the top teams and.
So does that change your mind that Parramatta's not a contender?
No, all these teams are contenders though.
I think that's the difference is that what I classify a contender, what he classifies a contender are two different things.
So
and that's the only difference.
That's the thing. You are saying there's pretty much one contender, and that's what Roosters.
No, they're the champion. Everyone's chasing them. Who's the biggest contender? Who's the biggest threat to them? That's obviously what we're saying. We know Roosters are up there. You're talking about Roosters. You say they're going to lose a game all year. They might have peaked a bit earlier. You never know. They might. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're a team that can cope with injuries. Manly's a team that can cope with injuries. We haven't seen Parramatta cope yet. We haven't seen Newcastle. We haven't seen.
I think the Manly's success is going to rely on if Manasseh Fino comes out of that court case. If he doesn't, I don't think he's.
It's with
Tommy's only out for 4 weeks. They said.
I think it's 6 to 8.
They'll keep him closed off even more, bro, because his history is bad. So they're going to look after him. Elliot, what a player. Let's move on to the bottom 8. Finally, one team's finally sacked their coach. It's not the one we expected. I thought Dragons would by now. It's the Warriors. They've sacked Stephen Kearney finally. Do you guys think it's the right call, given the circumstances?
Look, with Warriors, they've had an issue for the last 20 years in regards to, their team, having all the players and just not performing. We've seen Wayne Bennett went to Warriors, didn't he?
No, he helped New Zealand.
Who went to the Warriors? Well, there was a big coach that went to the Warriors. Cleary went to the Warriors. It's a big
Daniel
ask.
Anderson.
Yeah, it's a big ask to coach the Warriors to any premiership. The times that they really do compete for a premiership, it's the seasons that no one expects them to. I mean, every season we don't expect them to, compete, but it's really the seasons that we don't expect them to, that they just come out of nowhere and they make that odd grand final, and they haven't won it, but they're
capable.
With
the club, I'm saying the club in general is capable.
They've got all of New Zealand to pick from.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a discipline issue from the players. It might be a culture thing over there too. It's certain. We see that in a lot of clubs. You see the culture that Wayne Bennett built in Brisbane. You see the culture that Craig Bellamy has built in Melbourne. You know what I mean? The culture that you need a coach like Craig Bellamy or Wayne Bennett, somebody, a big coach to go over there and set a proper culture for them, so that they can, show some results and get those wins. And Kearney had his opportunity, and it looks like nothing really changed. So, did they need to sack him this season? I don't think sacking him was going to change anything. I think they're not going to really compete for the rest of the season either. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, they've got to do what they think is best for themselves.
I actually agree 100%. They should have sacked him, because how long has he been in charge for?
About 4 years. This is his 4th year. They've only made the finals once with him.
I haven't been entertained by the Warriors in so long. Like, I remember I used to anticipate them versus Melbourne on the Anzac Day clash, and I always used to think, Warriors could win this. They could pull out something. I don't get that anymore. I don't know. I just haven't been entertained by their attack. They offer nothing in defense. And
do you think they should have sacked him? But given what he sacrificed, along with the whole team, the whole organisation, coming over.
I saw a comment on Facebook saying, at least let him coach out the rest of the season. What's the point of that? So what, you just want to write off the season? They're being proactive about it. Get a new coach. Start now. Isn't he the same guy that had Isaac Luke, Roger, and
They got
Sean
rid of
Johnson?
Yeah,
and,
got rid of.
and did
Sean.
they even make the finals that year?
They made it in 2018, but they got knocked out by Penrith first round. So
Yeah. And they were never a threat to the comp. Like, how many more chances can you give someone?
yeah, no, 100%. I think in normal circumstances, I agree. I don't think Stephen Kearney is the right man. I never rated him as a coach. Honestly, he's a great assistant coach. I think he was coach of New Zealand when they won the World Cup, but his assistant was Wayne Bennett. You know what I mean?
Wasn't Bennett the coach and he was the
No,
assistant?
Bennett assisted him because like it was just that they wanted the New Zealander at the top, but he had help because he was helping him at Brisbane. So I'm saying he's a really good assistant coach. Like he can help any team, but you've seen him at Parramatta.
Yeah.
Right after they had a good run in the early 2010s, he did nothing with them. They collapsed with him, and then you've seen him come to the Warriors, done really nothing with a really talented squad he had at his disposal. Man, you're talking about how they maybe need discipline and all that. I'm looking at it the other way with the Warriors. I think they've lost their identity. They don't know who they are. The seasons they do well, when a Daniel Anderson comes in or Ivan Cleary, we know, you can see from Ivan Cleary's coaching here at Penrith, he allows his team to express themselves, you know what I mean? He gives them opportunities to show what they've got, show what they can do. He gives them more chances. Yeah. It's not about discipline. That comes, you know what I mean? That comes in the preseason. That comes in, within his personality as well.
When I say discipline, I mean more of the sense of, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, they've had the most penalties conceded against them. That's what I mean by discipline. I don't mean by, chancing your arm too much and losing the ball and having silly mistakes. That's the way Warriors play. They're off the cuff kind of team. But in regards to defense, there's over the last, I think, 3 or 4 seasons, they have conceded the most penalties out of any other team in the comp. That's where the discipline issue, I think, is coming into play.
But for me with the Warriors, when they're really good, and you go watch old games of Warriors, back in 2011 when they made the grand final, the early 2000s when they were ripping teams from like out of nowhere, 2001, 2002, 2003 with Daniel Anderson. They played a really unorthodox brand of football. You've never seen it before. They were challenging the heavyweights, man. They were challenging the dogs back then. I'm talking about the early 2000s. Dogs, Roosters,
Melbourne,
Newcastle. And then in the early 2010s in 2008, when they made the prelim, and then they made 2011, they made the grand final. They were challenging the Manlys, the Melbournes, those kinds of teams, those established teams. They had no answers for them. They were Melbourne's kryptonite, if you remember, back in those days. So for me, they need a coach that knows how to get the best out of that culture. There is a culture there. They've got to let them express themselves.
Who's the man for the job?
Who's available? Who's available, honestly?
I mean, Bellamy's being given offers.
He won't go. I doubt he would go. I know, you're right. He's the kind of coach that maybe they want, but you'd want someone you'd want someone like a Trent Barrett there, man. You know what I mean? Someone that's young, but, has got a bit of experience. He's not that bad of a coach, let's be honest. And someone that's going to be there for a long time. You need someone who's going to be there for a long time. Plus, they haven't even touched on their recruitment. They've had some bad signings over the last couple of years. Yeah. And bad decision-making, letting go of certain players.
They let go of Johnson to get Nicarima, who are like similar players, but
similar pay
I don't
pack.
think Nicarima's as good as Johnson.
But there was no point of that, at the end of the day. And for me, they've got like you said, they've got so much to pick from over there in New Zealand. You know what I mean? They've got so many players, so much talent over there. The only players they should be signing, especially from Australia, are like state of origin players. Yeah. You know what I mean? International players. Someone's going to make a difference to that team, like a Steve Price did, like a Kevin Campion did, those kinds of signings.
How are you going to draw those players though? You're not going to get them to go all the way to New Zealand.
They need to be exciting. They need to play a brand of football that they used to know, all right, and that can attract players like that to come over and say, hey, that's a young up and coming team. I want to help them out. I think I can do something with this team. That's what attracted those kinds of players then. Of course, the money helped, but like in all honesty, you can see those kinds of signings. It helped them elevate to a different level. What about the coaches? Other coaches in that bottom 8 we're talking about? Ooh. Bulldogs, Dragons. Who else is on the chopping block?
Green,
Cowboys, Paul Green.
Yeah.
Do you think any of those, their time's coming?
I think Paul Green's time's coming pretty soon. I expected Cowboys to at least be massive contenders right now based on their form.
Haven't they hit a lot of injuries though?
They've got Michael Morgan out and Valentine just got out. So, I mean, it's still not. I don't think it's good enough.
Yeah, even when they had Valentine, they weren't offering much. Sorry. Yeah, to me they're the most disappointing team right now, just based on their.
I think Bulldogs are probably the most disappointing team right now.
They played well
based on their roster, but the Cowboys have got Taumalolo, they've got Josh Maguire, he's a bit.
I don't want to say it, man, but you know what he is. You both know what I think of him, but yeah.
I rate Drinkwater. I think he's a great player. Holmes as well. Felt's one of the best wingers in the comp. Yeah, just a star-started lineup. I don't know what's going wrong there.
What about you saying Bulldogs?
Yeah, look, in regards to lineups, I think Bulldogs have got, if you take away their form, I think they've got a good lineup. You got Napa there, you got Foran there, you got, the outside backs are not that bad too. You got Hopewadi, you got Crichton,
Holland.
Don't talk about Holland, please.
He got named.
Fatala Mariner, you got some good players. They're just not performing, and I don't think.
Yeah, sorry, just to cut you off. That's the thing. Bulldogs will get so many good players, but they're just not performing. Like Dylan Napa's faded. No one hears about Dylan Napa anymore.
Ever since he left the Roosters.
Yeah. Foran's career went downhill. Not that when he started at Dogs, but he just hasn't lived up to the hype. I know he's got a lot of injuries. But even Hopewadi, wasn't he like one of the biggest up-and-coming stars coming from Manly?
Remember when he made his debut for New South Wales? Everyone thought, wow, this guy.
Yeah.
He hasn't played since.
It's true.
Josh Morris just didn't peak there.
Josh Morris played all right in
So
his first couple of years.
But so you're saying it's the club. There's something wrong with the club.
That's what, even like someone like Nick Meaney. Well, didn't he have a big name coming up from Newcastle?
There was talk of him. There was talk of him. It wasn't as big, but there was talk of him like he was coming up.
Yeah.
He's a fullback.
There was talk about Garrett Holland too.
But you're saying the Dogs have no excuse, but Dean Pay has no excuse.
Dean Pay has absolutely no excuse. Dean Pay, it's funny that you said Trent Barrett should go to the Warriors. I've always thought Trent Barrett should come to the Dogs because
that's right. You did.
He's a younger coach. I feel like the issue with the Bulldogs, but you know what? Even then, I've been thinking about it recently, and Bulldogs are playing really, really bad with Des Hasler. They were playing one out shit on last tackle. They'll go to Tolman, and that was with Des Hasler too. And then you see how he was coaching there to how he's coaching Manly now. Manly's plays are ridiculous. Like I never saw any of that kind of play with Bulldogs. And it comes to think, is this, are a lot of the coach setting up their plays, or are they giving the players more of freedom to do what they want to do?
I think there's some coaches that know how to rebuild, all right, but then they get to a point where they've got a really good roster and they don't know how to manage it. And there's other coaches that come in with an established roster that's got the spine ready and everything, and they know how to manage them and bring them success. So those are the two different kinds of coaches, I think, in the game.
If Trent Barrett comes tomorrow to the Bulldogs, right, do you see different tactics in the Bulldogs, or do you see the same old shit?
I think he'll try something different. Yeah, 100%.
But you know what? Lately they've been very impressive.
The last 2 weeks, yes.
Yeah. That set play against the Sharks, where Hopewadi normally sweeps out the back, but he cut through that hole. I actually haven't seen that before. That was a good start. If you want to.
God forbid they were passing the ball. They weren't going straight to Tolman. Oh, maybe because Tolman was out. There we go.
There you go.
Well, so you're saying Pay's going to be gone next, Abbas?
Pay should have gone first.
Well, they've got a meeting Thursday, so it might happen then. And you're saying that Green's going to go next.
Wait, who do I want to go, or who
do you think's going? No, who do you think is going next? Even the Sharks coach under pressure.
I'm going to go,
John Morris.
Yeah, John Morris, I'd say.
You're in John.
Isn't he interim coach at the moment?
No, he's head coach, but he looks like he's the interim coach. I don't know. I think, honestly, Paul McGregor's got a really hard month coming up, and I think they'll lose every game. I think they're versing Roosters, Panthers, Para, I think. So I think they're going to have a really bad run, and that talk's going to come up again.
Yeah.
Let's move on. obviously on Monday, Peter V'landys, the commissioner of the ARL, was on 100% footy, and he confirmed that there's going to be a new team, and it's going to come out of Brisbane, a second Brisbane team. That's massive news. I mean, how do you think that's going to affect that region? You know, like you got the Brisbane Broncos there already. You got Gold Coast around that area.
He did say that the only time that team will come is if they're guaranteed not going to affect Brisbane and Gold Coast in revenue sales. So
I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about in terms of like fan base. You know what I mean? You think there's going to be, especially like how vulnerable the Titans are, how vulnerable Brisbane is right now. A lot of fans are off them. Do you think the timing of them coming in maybe in the next 2-3 years is going to affect them in terms of fan base?
A lot can happen in 2-3 years. Broncos might be premiership contenders next year.
SACK Stephen.
They've got the squad for it technically.
We skipped Seabold, eh? We skipped Seabold for ya.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna probably request him to cop the sack, but
He's
had
locked
enough in for 5 years. Yeah, had to wait.
Who would you take if he got sacked? I mean, like 5 years is nothing. He could still get sacked for it.
Yeah. Oh, they should have had Walters in from the start. Like
Kevin Walters, yeah, the Queensland coach.
Yeah. I've just always seen Seabold to be too nice, too passive. If you listen to his press conferences after the game, he finds ways to defend Brisbane and make excuses indirectly. When we've got again like stars from 1 to 17, and now there's no experienced players, there's no leadership. He's taken out all the veterans out and chucked it in with all young superstars, and it just goes to show that no matter how much talent you got, if you don't got someone leading the way, then it comes out to nothing, I guess.
I've actually got a question. Fafita, apparently Roosters are talking about maybe trying to snatch Fafita.
I thought they signed him in Brisbane at the start of the year. What the hell happened
I think
there?
he's got 1 year left, and apparently there's a pact between him and Payne Haas saying that they're going to stick together at Broncos. But you know, with how Broncos are going now,
money talks.
People are saying, you know, he might be a bit turned off from the Broncos and all that. Boyd's coming off contract. He's retiring, sorry. And then there's one more other player that's coming off contract.
I know Isaac Luke's only there 5 months. I know Tio's only there 5 months. Like those kinds of they're nothing contracts, but
Milford, I think, is coming off.
Milford or Jack Bird, one of them.
Jack Bird is, and he's on what? 800 or $1 million?
He's on a lot.
So it's going to free up a lot of room. There's going to be money for Fafita, but does he want to stay there?
Look, I don't know. Actually, I won't be surprised if he leaves, not because of Brisbane itself, but I guess because the Roosters have the ability to get anyone they want.
Oh, man, they're so good at their salary caps, man. They're so skillful.
Like, I don't know. I just can't see much players turning down Roosters at the end of the day.
But what if David Fafita, we've gone off topic, but who cares? What if David Fafita goes, I'll stay, but I want Seabold gone? Would you be like happy that Seabold's sacked because of that kind of request, or sacked just because he wasn't good enough? You know what I mean?
Look, I'd probably be happy either way, because at the end of the day, he's gone.
But like players controlling that kind of narrative.
No, you'd prefer the other way, obviously.
Yeah.
But just I feel like no one has the balls to make ballsy decisions in the club. Even Seabold himself, like,
because they're sticking to their gun. They made a decision, and it's backfiring. And Brisbane's a very proud club. They don't like to admit they're wrong.
Yeah,
because everything outside Wayne Bennett, every decision they made outside of Wayne Bennett has been wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hasn't worked.
What about Lockyer? Would he have a coach? Do you reckon?
Isn't he? He's in the like.
He's the one who brought Seabold in, man.
He's in the leadership, or I don't know what they call it, but he's in those three.
He's a director. He's a director of the club.
He's the director. It's probably his idea to get him in. So, like you said, probably too much pride to get rid of Seabold. I don't know.
It's going to cost
Fair
them.
enough.
Anyway, there is a second Brisbane team coming. So,
do we think it's the right decision? Firstly,
I think it is.
Do you think we should have? Because there was some comments that I read in regards to that video from people from Perth saying that, you know, every time something comes to Perth, we sell out. We sell out stadiums. There is a fan base here in Perth. We want a team, and you're not giving it to us right now.
It won't rate well.
That's the thing with Perth. Like, they're having one game a year. It's like the same thing as WWE coming to to Sydney and them selling out. Like, it's one thing. It's one game per year. It's 20,000 seats or whatever it is.
There's
and they're
nothing
packing
better
it
to do
out.
in Perth.
Like, who's to say that every week they're going to come out?
But we have to. I mean, if that's the mentality, we're never going to pull the trigger on Perth, right? Because that's the thing with NRL. They always think short term, right? They always think first 5 years, but they don't think 20 years from now. They don't think 30 years from now.
Monetarily, they're thinking like long term, because if you get a second Brisbane team in there, that means you have a game in Brisbane every single week, and Brisbane shows up to games there.
Yeah.
Compared to anywhere else, they show up to Suncorp. They're going to be playing at Suncorp anyway, that second team. So it's all about revenue for them. They got to make as much money as they can for them. I think if they were in a better position, they had a lot of money, backed up, they had assets and all that, they might have gone and pulled the trigger to Perth. I think that'll eventually come, but I don't think it'll come this decade.
I forgot what I was going to say. Look, I think there definitely is a chance for revenue to be made. Like, isn't Queensland Cup massive over there?
Yeah.
Compared to
New South Wales Cup, yeah, of course.
like it's its own little massive league over there. It's like
They get behind it up
their
there.
college football.
Yeah, they get behind the way more.
Like, so I don't see how they can't generate a massive fan base just based off that alone.
Where would it be located? Because it says the Brisbane team, so where?
Brisbane. Like, I think it's going to be like in the same city, somewhere there, somewhere around maybe Ipswich or Redcliffe, somewhere around there maybe. But I think they're going to play their games at Suncorp. That's the key thing for them, because they just want to make a lot of money.
I guess that'd be probably more towards the west, and Brisbane will stay towards the east.
Maybe, yeah, possibly. Well, they got a lot of big clubs over there that established. You know what I mean? Like I said, Redcliffe. They turn over 30 million a year. That's more than NRL clubs. That's ridiculous, man.
It is.
Let's move on to round 7. Round 7 of the NRL Premiership. Let's start on Thursday night. Panthers, Rabbitohs. It's a big game. Rabbitohs coming off 2 big victories. Panthers coming after a massive couple of victories as well. What are your thoughts? Just before I move on to you guys, there's no changes for Penrith and Rabbitohs. Tom Amone's out, and centre James Roberts, the former Origin centre, is back on the bench.
Why is he on the bench?
I think it's a tactic from Wayne Bennett. One of those tactics he does.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go Rabbitohs on this one.
Yep.
I'm expecting Latrell to pick up on his recent form. Maybe even get a double, I'd say. That's another big call for that game. And I don't know with Penrith. I feel like they're another big momentum-based team. Like, they're great in attack, but again, absorbing pressure. And I feel like if Rabbitohs get better and better, they'll head towards that category of Melbourne and Canberra and Roosters and all them. So I'm going to go Rabbitohs on this one.
Bass.
Yeah, 2 teams that are looking good at the moment. Penrith fans, so I'm going to go Penrith. I think, I just think that Penrith, we were talking about absorbing pressure. They have showed that they can absorb pressure in the first couple of rounds. Not too much pressure at the moment. It's still a certain amount, but they're doing really well defensively. Doing well in attack too. The way they scored a couple of their tries last week, were a bit on the lucky side with the kick-out kick and all that. But yeah, no, I like how Penrith is going, and until I see them slowing up a little bit, I'll probably be picking them for future.
I'm going to go draw. I reckon it's going to be a draw.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, just quickly, do you think Kickout's the best second row in the game right now?
Oh, I do. 100%. Yeah.
Well, who else is there?
I think he's their biggest player by far, not just because he scored that try on the weekend, but just the aggression he brings in defence, like towards the later stages of the game. You can see just the effort levels to go in and shut down halfbacks and plays on the opposing team. I think that really brings big energy.
No, I think he is.
Yeah, well, I was telling Sol when we were watching the game that he's actually just a winger that is 118 kilograms. He's that quick for a second rower.
He can flick.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. So I do think he's the best second rower in the game, but there probably are good second rowers out there that just probably haven't hit their...
Might be more consistent.
Yeah.
No, not that more consistent. They just probably haven't hit their peak at the moment this season.
Friday night, Storm Warriors. 6 o'clock. It got moved from Amy Park because of obviously coronavirus fears down in Victoria. Get your shit together down there, Victoria. It's been moved to OK Jubilee. Do you think the Warriors are going to get the that new coach luck this week?
No.
No. Look, like I said earlier, I would have got excited seeing Melbourne and Warriors go at it and possibly hoping Warriors pull up an upset, but I just haven't had that feeling in years. They're just not flamboyant enough in attack.
Yeah, I think Storm. I think Storm going to win this. Ado Carr's back. Jerome Hughes is back at halfback. They're going to be pretty upset about last week, and I think the Warriors are in for a smashing. Storm, yeah.
Storm, yeah.
Friday night after that, 7:55 at Bankwest. Roosters versus the Dragons. Dragons coming off 2 okay victories. All right, they're kind of back on track. Tedesco got named despite that head knock with Savo. Savo put him out. And Jason Saab comes on to replace Pereira on the wing, who's been suspended. I think the Roosters are going to win this easily.
Roosters 13 plus.
Yeah.
Roosters?
Yeah, it's not a mystery, that one.
Let's move on. Not much to say there.
Sorry, Jason Saab's back in for the Dragons.
Yes, he is.
I think that's a massive gain for them.
I don't know why
he got drifted off like that.
I don't know. I think McGregor's a bit weird. I swear. Saturday, 3 p.m. at Queensland Country Bank Stadium up in North Queensland. Cowboys Knights. Bradman Best got ruled out because he breached the COVID protocols, so you got to learn your lesson. Cowboys still missing Holmes, still missing Morgan. I think the Knights are going to get this one. It's going to be tough, but...
Look, Cowboys for me, over the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking, are they going to do something this week? And every week I tip them, and every week they don't do anything. It's for that reason that I just can't put my faith in Cowboys anymore, and that's why I think, especially the way Knights are playing recently, Peace is on good form, Kurt Mann's on good form, Ponga's playing out of his skin, and I just think McCulloch's been a really good addition to the Knights too, after losing Levi. And I just think Knights probably win this. Might be a close game, but I doubt it. I think Knights probably go 13 plus.
You said Knights, yeah, Tony?
Yeah, I'm going to go Knights.
The big clash, possibly match of the round back in 2009, Broncos versus Titans.
Oh, shit.
God, this is hard. You know what? Titans aren't that bad on paper. They should have played better last week against the Dragons side. They should have done a bit more. It's going to be tough. Tessie Niu comes in a fullback. That's the big in. Jermaine Osaka gets dropped to the bench. Dearden's still not in the team. Not much change from last week. I'm going to hand it over to you, Tony, because it's your team, Brisbane. You got any hope this week? Finally? Something?
Look, if we don't win this week, then I'm writing them off for the rest of the season. Look, another example of how Seabold doesn't have any balls. He'll leave Boyd in there, but he'll take out Osaka. Like, he didn't deserve that. And again, another major risk chucking in. How old's Tessie Niu?
18, 19, I think.
Again, even bring in more.
Even
though I don't doubt his ability, but again, it's just Milford. Even Milford, I love Milford, but he deserves to be dropped at this point. He's not doing much.
I think they're playing that kid because they heard that Titans. He agreed to Titans for next year. They got scared.
Yeah.
So they got a bit scared.
Just kidnap him before they
Abbas?
Do you think they're gonna stick to that same game plan for the last 2 weeks, just kicking it to Coates on the wing?
That's all they've got.
Because that's all I've seen them do.
Not. I'm not even a fan of that kick, to be honest.
I haven't even seen. Have you guys seen Milford take the line?
Nothing
at all.
I've seen nothing. It's shocking. I don't know if he wants to be there. I don't know what the hell.
That's the thing with Milford. Once the game's not going his way, he just slowly zones out and fades off for the rest of the game.
Abbas, Broncos,
concerning.
Titans.
Look, when Payne Haas is leading that front row,
the goat,
the goat,
the future goat.
Yeah, no, we'll go Broncos here. Titans are being
surely
ridiculous.
the Broncos win, but I think it's going to be very close. I think Titans are going to be in this one for a long time. Let's move on. Sunday afternoon, Sea Eagles versus Sharks at Central Coast. Sea Eagles obviously hampered by injury. Tom Trebojevic, Dylan Walker, Moses Sully's still out. They get a big couple of ins, but George Tafua, Marty Tapau, and
Abbas Miski, no.
Abbas Miski's on the reserves. He's just missing there. And the Sharks are I think same lineup as last week. So this will be a tough game for Seagulls. I think they'll get up.
Look, this is a tough one. Look, it's pretty. No Tom, no Dylan Walker,
No Sully.
no Sully as well.
That makes it 50-50.
Like, that's the thing. Sharks are just another disappointing team. They're just not. They're not offering much. It's a tough one, eh?
Draw.
Look, I'm gonna go Manly just based on their defense and their admiration towards winning. But I don't know about the depth with Elliot at fullback and.
Hey, they did pretty well last year.
Look,
I know, but how long can they last with these sort of play? Like, even the 5'8" Croker, like, he's not the most naturally gifted bloke, but
they're only versing Cronulla. You got to remember that. Like, we're just talking about this round. They're only versing Cronulla. The big issue I think for Manly at the moment is Levi hasn't been playing well at number 9.
Nah.
At number 9, he has been below average.
Could be a good thing, but because if he starts playing well, they go to a different level.
No, you know what? I'm changing it back to Sharks. I think.
I think fence sitter.
I think you just anything I say just
Yeah,
goes
just gotta give it to you.
I remembered how good Moylan played last week. He's a massive.
He might be
plus
out,
to that
but
team.
because of the
They only
HIA,
beat Bulldogs by 2 though.
I know, but just the way
he
they
changed
looked
the
a bit
attack
more sharp in attack. The
Yeah.
way they're going left to right. Massive
enough.
addition.
Manly.
Manly, yeah.
Sunday 6:30. Bulldogs Tigers. Bulldogs unlucky last week. They could have won against the Sharks. Tigers won the game in 36 minutes last week. They're up 34-0. Kerrod Holland, your boy Abbas, replaces the suspended Crichton at centre.
This is an easy pick, isn't it?
Tommy Talau replaces Jennings. The Tigers got a couple of injuries. Robert Jennings is out. Zane Musgrove's out. And Alex Twell's out. So they're big outs for the Tigers. Man, this is going to be tough. I'll pick Tigers, but just.
Yeah, I'm gonna like 12's a massive loss for the
Yeah.
Tigers. Very underrated player. I'm gonna go Tigers by 1. I'd say.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tigers just for the sole fact that Holland's playing.
And the match of the round for us, Eels Raiders at Bankwest. Big game for both teams, both coming off different kinds of losses, obviously. Raiders very disappointing last week against a depleted Eagles side. And the Eels, some would say, had a really good crack against the Roosters. Are going to learn from it. I'm pretty sure they're both 1-17. Actually, no, they might not be. Nathan Brown, you said, Abbas, has been suspended?
Charged too much ban.
So he might. Did he plead guilty, or is he going to fight it? I think he might fight it.
I think it just says round 6, Brown cops too much ban.
Okay, so he's gone. That's a big loss. I think the Raiders.
He was found guilty.
I say he pled guilty, I guess.
That's pretty harsh.
I know, but that's the way the world works there. I think the Raiders, if they don't win this or they don't show anything in this, I think it'll be trouble stations for them. The Raiders got to win.
I was gonna go Para, but Nathan Brown's a massive loss. The charges that he brings off the bench, and it's pretty much a game changer, I guess. But Canberra's due for a win. If they don't turn it around this week, then they're in big trouble.
Bass.
I said at the start of the podcast, Parramatta should smash them.
That's right. Let's end this pod with a bold prediction from each of you guys and myself. Tony, I'll start with you.
Roosters to stay undefeated for the rest of the regular season.
Wow. Abbas?
Bold prediction. All right, you know what? Dean paid to be sacked within the month.
That's massive, man.
Look, I mean, do you want me to say something ridiculous like
I
Penrith
think
going undefeated for the rest of the season? I'm trying to give you something
I
that I think
think
can happen.
my bold prediction is if Broncos lose this week, I think Seabold's going to get sacked.
Ooh, nah.
Yeah, I think they'll sack him.
If
they can't beat the Titans, he does not deserve to be there, honestly.
I don't know if they'll take that step forward. They haven't even, we haven't even heard, what's his name, Dobbin report or anything like that. So
I'm Dobbo this week, mate. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot of rumblings.
yeah, so
Anyway, thanks for joining us. It was good chatting, boys. Hopefully next week we'll be back with video. Obviously, there's no video this week, so
Exactly.
please listen to us. We're now finally on Apple Podcasts. We got the okay.
Oh,
Yes. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spotify, and it'll be up on YouTube as well. So thanks to Bass.
Thanks, mate.
And Tony, thanks for coming in, man. Happy to see you again, man.
Cheers, boys. Was a
Hope you
pleasure.
enjoyed yourself.
I did.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. Take care.